Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Choka and I'm here to introduce you to the world of Blender. Blender is a 3D graphics and information software package that is used for animation, 3D modeling, video editing, game creation, character creation, post-production editing, and other stuff. The thing that makes Blender so cool is that it is very straightforward to use, as well as its compatibility with SolidWorks. Download Blender, go to blender.org, click the button at the top right corner to install the necessary files. I already have Blender on my computer, so I'll begin with it. When you open Blender, it will bring up an introductory page. To get rid of this, just right click it. Just right click to the side of it. Now, to help you guys see what buttons I'm pressing, I'm going to turn on an add-on that will allow you to see what I'm pressing. Okay. On the startup page, there will already be a cube waiting for you. If you can delete the cube by right-clicking on the cube and by pressing X. To demonstrate the basic components of Blender, I will insert a cylinder so that you guys will see can see what I'm to see how Blender operates. Similar to okay, oops, let me add this right now. Similar to SolidWorks, Blender has a graphics area where you can manipulate any object you want. To navigate the screen, you can click you click your middle mouse and drag to wherever you want. However, just like this, you can drag by right-clicking and dragging to wherever you want, and this will change your view. However, if you want a specific view, like front type, or side view, you will want to use your number pad. If you use a Mac or don't have a number pad for whatever reason, you can program the number line at the top of your keyboard by going to File, then to User Preferences, and then to Input. Mine automatically popped up on Input, and then by pressing the Emulate number pad. For me, it'd probably be a good idea to save the user settings afterwards, but I'm not, because I don't like it, because I have a numpad. Okay. If you want the top view, press the number 7. Oh, okay. Whoops. Oh. To get the top view, you press the 7 on the number pad. To get the front view, press the number 1 key on the number pad. And for the right view, you press the 3 key. For orthographic, right now it is on perspective. If you want your orthographic view, you just press 5. And then to switch back to perspective view, you'll want to press 5 again. Unfortunately, unlike SolidWorks, Blender only has 2 views. It only has orthographic and perspective. It doesn't have the other ones. So if you wanted those, well, too bad. It's not there. Alright, getting back to the views, it is useful to think of the number pads as their useful to think of the number pad positions as their views. What I mean is that their view, What I mean is that where they are on the number pad correlates to their viewpoint. So, you know, at the top you have your 7, at the front you have your 1, on the side you have your 3. To get the bottom, left, or back views, just press Shift before hitting 7, 1, or 3 on the number pad. Now, keep in mind that these views are relative to the XYZ planes, not to the specific object that you want to create. The reason why is because it's like that is because you move and you rotate several objects at once. So making it relative to any object for these purposes is kind of silly. Think of Blender as a mix between making a part in SolidWorks and making an assembly. Except everything happens at once in Blender. Now, to get down to the really basic parts of Blender, like I said, you can create objects in Blender. Objects in Blender are called a mesh. To add a mesh to your display, I already have mine. to add a mesh to your display, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one for right now. To add a mesh to your display, just press Shift A, and which will bring up a screen. Or similarly, you can you can go to the bottom left corner and press Add, which will bring up the same menu as before. And you can add any object you want from there. For me, I'll add a cylinder and move it just to be just to make it nicer. Let's see. Hold up. From here, you will see other icons in the add section. However, for you guys, the only other add. Let me bring this up for you. You see there's other stuff in the add section. What is going on? Okay, sorry, my computer was lagging for a little bit. That is strange. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Blender decided it wanted to stop working. Alright, it usually doesn't do that, but because I'm running this recording software at the same time, it's taking up basically all my processing power, which in turn makes Blender go crash. Sorry, to get back to what I was saying before, you can create a mesh in Blender using the Shift A combination like this, or you can create an object, a mesh, by pressing the Add at the bottom here, and then going to Mesh, and then going to whatever object you want. I'm moving these components by pressing G. You can think of it as G as grab, which is very useful. Also, another useful thing is once you grab something, you can say which direction to put it on. You can specify which axis. So if I wanted to grab something, oops, let me turn on this. If I wanted to grab something and constrain its movement to the y-axis, I would press grab, and then Y, like this, and as you can see, it only moves along the y-axis. Left click to place. Say if I want to constrain it to the x-axis, I press G again, and then press X to constrain it to the x-axis. And if I wanted it to constrain it along the z-axis, I would just press G and then press Z to constrain its movement along the z-axis. I can do the same thing with the rotation. Alright, so right now I'm going to grab the cube. To rotate an object, you press R, and see how if you rotate a freehand, it kind of looks like crap. And it's just unpredictable as to which way it's going to rotate. But if you want to, you can make it better. You can make it cleaner by rotating it along certain axes at once. So say I want to rotate it along the z-axis. I press R to rotate, and then X to constrain it along the x-axis. My bad, sorry. If I want to rotate along the y-axis, I press R and then Y, and then rotate like this. And say if I want to rotate along the z-axis, again, R then Z. Okay, right now I'm going to just delete everything except my original cylinder, so you guys can see what I'm going to do next. Make life a little bit easier. Oops, my bad. Moving on, besides being able to create objects in Blender, you can also manipulate their shape and behaviors as well. You can do this with the different modes installed in the program. The mode that you are currently in is called Object Mode. In this mode, you can move and rotate objects as a whole, as well as record their positions. You, however, cannot change the way they look. To do this, you will want to enter Edit Mode. To enter Edit Mode, right-click the object that you want to edit, and then click either press Tab to enter edit mode, or you can go over here and press this key and press edit mode. Either way works. When you hit this button, you'll notice that there's other modes. However, for the purposes of this video, they're not really important, so I won't put them on this video. Mainly, the modes that you're going to be working in are going to be edit mode and object mode. Once inside edit mode, you're going to want to be very, very careful as to what buttons you press. The reason for this cautiousness is because it is very possible to mess up your center of mass for the object, which will screw with your pivot points and how you move the object in object mode. In edit mode, you have mainly three types of selections: vertices, edges, and faces. By default, the selection type is set to vertices. When you enter edit mode, all of the vertices will be selected. To deselect all of them, press A. If you want to select all of them again, press A again. This also applies for objects in object mode as well. In Blender, to select a singular object or point, always use the right click. Left click is only used for targeting where you want to add an object. In general, don't even use it. There are better ways to target where you want to place something other than the left click. So, back to the main point. To select a singular vertex, press A to deselect everything, then right click on the vertex that you want to manipulate. Similar to a lot of programs, if you make a mistake, like say I want to grab something or to move it, and it's like, I'm like, oh geez, that looks awful. I wish I could undo it. You can, like with a lot of things, you just press Ctrl-Z. If you're in the process of messing up, but you haven't yet, say I grabbed this, but I haven't left clicked to set it yet, I can just press escape to fix your problem. Like that. To make things bigger in Blender, you will want to scale the object. You can do this in object mode or edit mode. After selecting, you can select multiple vertices by holding Control while hitting by right clicking, like this. Ooh, come on. Sorry, my computer's lagging. Trust me, it's there. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, either way, I'm going to cheat and do a circular selection, like that. And then I'm going to press S. S will scale the object, and you can, remember like I said before, you can choose which axis you want to scale it in. So for me, I'm going to scale it in the X direction, and then it's going to look like this. Woo! And now it looks like that. Okay, say I'm satisfied with the object I've created. I now want to exit edit mode. I press tab, and now I want... Oh, wrong computer. Okay. I press tab, and now I want to change how my object looks and behaves. All of this information is stored right here in the properties panel, which is all these tabs. The main panels inside the properties panel include the render panel, which is the panel I'm currently in, the world panel, the constraint, the object panel, which is this one, the constraint panel, the modifier panel, the object data panel, the materials panel, and the texture panel. Other panels include the render layers panel and the particles panel, as well as the physics panel. We won't really use these as much in this video, but they're still very important nonetheless. Okay, now I want to give my object a color. To do this, go to the materials panel oops, it's already there. Go to the materials panel over here, click on the new button, and a whole list of options will come up. The first thing to consider is what type of object is it going to be. Is it going to be a wiry sort of thing? Is it going to be solid? Oh, by the way, objects in Blender, like SolidWorks, are not actually solid on the inside. They're hollow, so that the computers do not have to work as hard. So if you were to fly inside one of the objects, which is entirely possible, you would find it to be as hollow as the thick of its surface. Okay, back to the main point. Is it going to be a solid object with a solid surface? Is it going to be wiry? Is it going to be a volume? Or is it going to be misty and halo-y? Most objects, so like here we have these options. Like we have wireframe, volume, halo, all with their own special properties. For this demonstration, we're going to choose surface, because most objects in the real world have a surface. Next, you're going to want to choose its color. This is done in the diffuse section. I like blue, so I'm going to choose around over here. Oh, by the way, this is a hexadecimal system. So if you want to use a hexadecimal system, you press hex, and then whatever points you need. But I like blue, so I'm going to do this. Change it a little bit like this. Okay. I like its hue right now, but I'm gonna change it. Let's see. There's little ways you can change it. There's different options. These are more like how it's gonna look when it's rendered. So okay, I'm satisfied with this for whatever reason. Okay, the next part is its specular. Its specular is its light that bounces off the object. If it's an ordinary object, you won't have to change anything at all in this category. If it's not, you may have to fiddle with it for a little. For experimentation's sake, I'll change the specular to something that's not white. So I'll change it to a bright ass pink. Give it a huge intensity so it'll stand out. Okay. There are other options in the material section like transparency, mirroring, subsurface scattering, and other stuff. However, this takes up a lot of your memory on your computer. So if you decide to mess with these options to make your project better, depending on the complexity of your project, be prepared to wait a while, possibly several days, for your final project to be done. To give this object some motion, I will have to document its location, its rotation, and its scaling as specific points. These points are called keyframes. The very first keyframe you are going to want to make is its starting location. To do this, press I and then select Lot Scale, like this. This will record your object's location, rotation, and scaling at a given point. After you recorded your keyframe, you might have noticed that a little green or yellow bar has appeared at the bottom, at this bar. The bar on the bottom keeps track of all the keyframes you have made. However, in order for your object to move, it needs time to move. You can give it time to move by changing the frame it is on and then recording its new location and such. In this example, the origin of this object will start at the global origin 000. After moving the frame to 300, like this, and inputting 300, I would then move the object 6 units in the X direction, like this, by inputting 6 in the X direction, while simultaneously rotating it 180 degrees in the Y direction, like this, as well as scaling it to 3 times its original size in the Z direction by pressing S, and then Z, and then 3. And then you want to insert your keyframe right there again to make sure that you record its location and scaling and such again. And so when you play it back, what will happen, okay, I'm going to go back to the initial screen to this initial position, and then we'll see what happens when I play it, when I play the animation. So as you see, it'll start to rotate, and then scale and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then also rotate. And then finally comes to a stop at its final key point. And then it just goes back to the initial point. So I'm just going to stop it there. Okay. For whatever reason, I'm satisfied with how my object looks and moves. The final step is to prepare the background and then to render it. Since I do not want my scene to be pitch black when I render it, I will want to place a lamp to light up the place. To add a lamp, go to the Add section at the bottom, or similarly press Shift A, and then go to the lamp section, and then you can do that, and get the lamp. And just put it there, and then there, or wherever makes sense for you. I'll leave it up to you to decide where the lamp looks the best when you render it. Once you have your lamp, it's time to render your scene. The way rendering works in Blender is that it makes many images and stitches them together to make a film. There is at least one camera in every single scene. If you don't have one for whatever reason, you can add one by going to the Add section and getting a camera there. By, shifting A and then getting a camera right here. But since I already have, it's right here, it's right behind my object. Since I already have one, I don't need it, so I'm just going to delete it. The images that are taken are going to be from the camera's point of view, not yours. To access the camera's point of view, press 0 on the number pad. You can, like that. You can also change the position of your camera, just like you can change the position of any object. To do that, right-click on the camera and position it however you want by moving and rotating it. Scaling doesn't really do anything in this case, so I'm just going to move it up like that so it looks good, and then I'm going to rotate it like this, and then I'm going to insert a keyframe so that it keeps its position right where I want it. Okay, now the best thing to do is that when you're moving, when the object is moving, you want to stay in the camera's perspective. So I'm gonna go to the 300th frame, and now you can see that the object is no longer in my point of view. So to change my point of view, I have to rotate my camera. The best way to do this is around the Z axis. So, oops, sorry, too far. I'm going to rotate my camera along the Z axis, and then I'm going to zoom it out by moving it along its local Z axis by double-clicking Z, and then I'm going to rotate it again along its local X. Oh, like this. And then, so I don't want to lose its position, so I insert a keyframe, and there you go. And so I'm going to make sure that it always stays in the camera's point of view before I render it. I'm going to press play and see what happens. Okay, so everything looks fine. Okay, so the last step is to go, you can exit out of this camera perspective. The last step is to go to the render panel right over here, and then you need to do the following. You need to change this, you can keep that. If you want to do a practice render, you can change that to 25, or you keep it at 50. But when you're ready for your final render, you want to change this to 100. You can change the frame rate to 24 and up, though I like to keep mine at 30. You need to decide where. You need to decide where you want to render your thing. So I'm gonna render my video to my desktop, and I'm going to name it just test. Okay, accept it. And then one of the most important things I can say is this: the last step, you need to change this to a video file, mainly because if you don't, what will end up happening is that you will have 300 singular images to wherever you render it, instead of one video file that's 200 or 300 frames long. So instead of one file, you get 300 or so, which is a pain in the butt to clean up. So make sure you have a movie, not an image, a movie designation for an extension. And then once you are good with that, once it's fine, or at least once you think it's fine, the final thing you need to do is just to hit animation, and then it'll automatically start rendering it for you. Okay, back 14 minutes later for such a simple render, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, here's our test. Here's what it looks like. Alright, looks pretty decent. So, I'm generally happy with this. Okay, thanks for listening. I'll attach some links to other how-tos in the About section. Have a nice day, people.